And we are officially live yet again, only on onedealaway.com/live. My name is Nev. This is Money Matters. And in today's episode, as usual per weekend, we are going to go deeper into cryptocurrencies. Of course, I do have a little bit of news. We're just going to look at some of the headlines. We're not going to go through all of that. We're going to take a look at what's going on in the market. Is it up? Is it down? Is it sideways? What's going on? Who's winning? Who's losing? Everybody should be winning in some way, shape, or form, of course, if it is a good project. And then, as promised in yesterday's episode, today we get to dive a bit deeper into Polkadot. You've likely heard of the thing called Polkadot. You've likely heard of a thing called Proof Authority. You've likely heard of what's a Substrate, right? And we're going to go deep and uncover what is Polkadot, what is proof of authority, what is substrate, so that when we're hearing these terms, we're hearing these language, we can understand of what exactly are we talking about here. And of course, it helps us understand and evaluate fundamentally whether coins that are associated with these projects do or don't make sense for us. So that is in what we're doing today. I hope you're excited. Let's do this. And good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Saturday to you. I am excited to be here on Saturday. I am excited to be learning. I hope you are as well. And hey, I just want to say thanks to everybody who's joining live today. It is early in the morning, but hey, early bird gets the worm, sometimes even two. And that is why we do the show every morning at 7 a.m. only on onedealaway.com. Of course, you are potentially, maybe, possibly watching this on YouTube channel as well. So welcome as well. Do me a huge favor, hit the subscribe button and the bell button so that way you get notified every single day when the show goes live. And of course, we go live every single day. So you'll be getting all kinds of news and information on daily basis coming your way. And of course, by getting that bell, you get notification that, hey, wait a minute, this Nev guy is doing Money Matters again, and I get to learn. And of course, on Money Matters, we do talk about money, business, investing, finance. We do spend a lot of time talking about real estate and making money in real estate. Is it good? Is it bad? Where does it go? We talk a lot about cryptocurrency projects. We do look at gold. We do look at all kinds of different investments. So I am always investment and asset agnostic. What I'm saying is that if it's in the bull, if it's going to make money, I am jumping in. So I am not a maximalist on anything whatsoever. All I want is to find the best possible assets that exist out there so that I can position myself well and ahead of the crowd in order to benefit financially from all the changes and moves that are happening and coming our way. One of the things to begin with before we get started is that none of this stuff is financial advice. You have got to start thinking for yourself. And if you do need an advisor, please make sure you reach out to somebody who is licensed, who is competent, who is doing things that you want to do and not just merely selling you a product, and that's how they make their living. So there you go. Those are the requirements that I believe one should have. And of course, above all, you got to spend some time learning. One of the best ways to learn for absolutely free is right here on Money Matters. And of course, another way to learn is by joining One Deal Away. You can join the academy, no contracts, you get access to all of the courses, or you can just buy an individual course that makes sense for you. And if you are brand new to crypto and you want to learn how crypto works and kind of get into the ins and outs and learn, we do have Crypto 101 course absolutely free because of my commitment and One Deal Away's commitment to educate as many people as possible about the new coming asset class that is coming our way that I believe is going to replace a lot of things and make a lot of people incredibly wealthy. Of course, it is going to make some people broke, but hey, that's what happens all the time. I always say you can get rich on just about any asset and you can lose money just about any asset and almost equally as well. Although somehow losing money is a bit easier and faster for most individuals. So I'm not quite sure why that is, but hey, if you do, let me know in the chat or in the comment section. All right, done chatting. Let's go in and take a look at a couple of the big news. And then we're going to go take a look at the markets, and then we're going to learn Polkadot. You like to polka? I like to polka. Okay, all joking aside. Okay, so Ripple and Chris Larsen wired 20 million XRP to Binance Coinbase Pro are amongst the recipients. And it's basically XRPL Monitor revealed that in the past 15 hours, Ripple and its co-founder Chris Larsen transferred 20 million XRP to Binance, Coinbase Pro, and other Ripple wallets. This is very interesting, and I think they're about to dump, y'all. I think they're about to dump again. I don't know that for a fact, but why do you transfer money to exchange? You do it so that you can exchange it, right? It's a simple combination. So you can read the article if you want to. You can look it up and learn more about it, but that is definitely bearish for XRP, in my humble opinion. Again, not a financial advice, just my opinion. Largest South Ethereum bank to offer custodial services of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Highly bullish for Bitcoin and Ethereum. So this is very exciting for these two granddaddies of cryptocurrencies. And, we've seen that happen in U.S. Now we're seeing it happen in South Korea. I think we're going to start seeing this happen around the world. And the reason that this is incredibly bullish for cryptocurrencies as a whole is because when we start seeing custodial services, that means that it becomes much easier for mom and pop of all age to jump in and hold a bit of crypto. And I think that that is going to be an excellent move on their part, because I believe that crypto is going to perform incredibly well. Final piece that we have, and I wanted to read this but I haven't, is this crypto asset has surged 15,000% in 3 weeks. Will its clones also shoot to the moon? And it's a governance token, centralized. It's the governance token of the centralized finance protocol, Yearn. So if you're wondering who surged 15,000, it is Yearn. And of course, you can read more about this. I believe that you can find this article by simply utilizing your Googling skills. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can always just rewind back a little bit, pause, find the name. But it's called This Crypto Asset Has Surged. Let me do it again so you can see it. Just one more time. All right, 3, 2, 1. And we're going into the markets. Yes. I don't know what it is about today, but today is going to be a water day. It is for certain. Okay. So let's see. Not much happening. A lot of red, right? As you scroll up and down, a lot of red, but we are still doing just fine. As you can see, Bitcoin is slightly down 0.31. They're 11,771 to be exact, and 10 cents. Thank you very much. Ethereum is at 387.5. So, definitely some movement down, but not by much. Let's take a look at the top gainers. Hold on. Decentraland is definitely doing incredibly well at 27.13%. Bain Protocol up almost 20%. Ocean up almost 19%. Aragon up 14.2%. Thor 12.6%. Holo 11.6%. Compound 10.7%. Kava 10.3%. Lexicon 9.74%. Lisk 9.61, Horizon 7.99, and then it just obviously goes down from there. The biggest losers, hold on, here we go. Aurora is down 9.8%. Amplify is down 9.76. It is below $1, so that means that they are burning. But it could potentially be a great time to buy. Again, not a financial advice, just a thought. And if you want to learn more about Amplify, y'all, since you were talking about the name, a week ago we did an episode where we dove deeper into Amplify, how it is, how it works, and why it could be an excellent altcoin to potentially get into, and the future that it might necessarily have for us, not just in the world of crypto, but in the world of finance and banking and money and all of that stuff that is all very, very interconnected, whether you like to admit it or not. So that's an interesting piece to kind of take a look at. So there you go. That's what we have happening. We do have some, relatively speaking, I would say, very nice projects that have gone down quite a bit. And I think that is going to be very important for us to take a look at and consider. One of the things that I also wanted to, take a look and share with you is that if you go in, hold on, I changed the screen on you. I apologize for that. If you take a look over here at the top gainers, you will see that Band Protocol has, up in 24 hours almost 20%. But here's another piece from CoinGecko. And CoinGecko in 7 days is showing us that the Band Protocol is up 126.4%. That is insane. And that is very, very exciting. Of course, in 1 hour, it's showing that the band actually has taken a little bit of a dive down. So who knows? I don't know. Is it good to buy? It's possible. We're definitely going to take a look at it. We're not going to evaluate it today, but I think it is something that might be interesting. Let's take a 30-day look. I always like to sort of zoom out to see what's going on in a bigger picture. And of course, getting into band right around here would have been fantastic, wouldn't it, right? It's okay. Whenever it goes up, typically kind of slows down, potentially goes, a little bit down sideways, and then it continues. That's a typical trading. I can't say that that's exactly what happens with band, but that's a typical thing that we see with just about every asset, y'all. I talk about it almost on a daily basis. And here, I took a year, right? And you can see that there's nothing. We saw a little bit of a blimp up, then we went sideways, then blimp, sideways, up, then we were sideways and down, up, down, and now we've kind of went up. So I think that there might be a bit of a sideways down. Again, I don't know. 30 days, this thing is up 475%. So that is absolutely insane. And hey, if you invested in band eons ago and have made money, congratulations. I am beyond excited for you. So congratulations. I always get excited about when people make money. As I was on a call yesterday with a few colleagues, and we're talking about different things, and somebody said something like, oh, no, this person is just looking to get creative and make money. And I said, I don't understand what the problem is. I am always supporting people making money as long as it's legal and ethical and not harming another human being, right? Or planet or animals and that kind of stuff. I'm all for people making money. So I get very, very excited when people make money, especially if it's not an expense of somebody else directly, right? So that's my thing. So now, are you excited to get into Polka? A little bit of water, and I am personally very, very excited to go into Polkadot. Now, to get into Polkadot, we have to understand first, because yesterday when we briefly talked about that Polkadot is releasing a testnet, Rococo, I believe that it's called, or Rococo, or I don't know how you say it, Rococo maybe? I don't know. Rococo. Rococo. Anyways, we talked about the fact that it's proof of authority. But what the heck is proof of authority? Well, here it is. What is proof of authority? Proof of authority is a consensus method that gives a small designated number of blockchain actors the power to validate transactions or interactions with the network and to update its more or less distributed registry. According to the chosen scheme, one or more validating machines are responsible for generating each new block of transaction that will be included in the blockchain. The new blockchain can be accepted directly without verification by unanimous vote of the blockchain generators or simply by majority, depending on configuration chosen by the blockchain. So, as you can see, it is something that is going to be much simpler to implement, but it's going to become a bit more centralized, right? So, unlike the proof of work mechanism, commonly referred to as mining, there's no technical competition between validators here. Mechanism requires almost no computing power, and as such, it's going to be much lower cost, right? No competition, no computing, no electricity, and it's going to go fast. So fast and cheap. That's the upside of proof of authority. However, the network can afford to update the blockchain more frequently by reducing the time between each block, process more transactions, and processing fees close to zero. A blockchain that rests on proof of authority or PoA can do without using a native asset such as Bitcoin or Ether. Moreover, being a validating node does not immobilize any particular capital, as in the case of proof of stake, for example. A major weakness, a strong centralization in the hands of small number of actors. So the upside is it's fast, it's moving, it's cheap, basically free. It's very flexible. You don't have to rely on the natives and that kind of stuff. But it is going to be highly, highly centralized because small number of people. But what is the use case for proof of authority, right? Like, where does it actually even make sense? So, what are use case for proof of authority? Well, proof of authority is often favored by private consortium blockchain players in the banking sector, for example, such as JP Morgan with their coin, an ability to then use the banking to process stuff. So, is the proof of authority censorship resistant? Validating nodes of PoA blockchain have full power to decide on new blocks. If, for example, the BNP Paribas validator node wishes to add 1 million euros to his balance without any particular justification, then the nodes under the control of other actors have the possibility to reject any block containing this transaction. Each block validator is therefore encouraged to fulfill its role in an honest way because the constant monitoring of the other actors. The banking sector has not been chosen at random. It is an industry involving a small number of actors, very easily identifiable, and who do not naturally wish to cooperate but benefit from doing so. So basically what we're saying is that, in a very small industries, when there's a small number of people, the proof of authority makes sense because if you are potentially an accounting firm or a few multiple different accounting firms, and you're just trying to validate that certain things have transpired, right? We already trust the accountants to kind of do that on paper. So utilizing a network could be a bit more transparent, speed things up potentially, send things, and proof of authority might make perfect sense for this particular place. A solution not necessarily replicable is for a cryptocurrency whose actors are essentially decentralized, difficult to identify, and with whom is not possible to create contractual relationships. Proof of authority is a very, very bad solution. So banking, accounting, potentially even medical and that kind of stuff, I think proof of authority may work, but for general, network stuff, it doesn't, and it shouldn't be used. For limited amounts in a context where security is less important, or simply for some centralized uses, a secondary network based on the proof of authority is possible. This is referred as a side chain or complementary blockchain intended to manage many small transactions regularly. And proof of authority is therefore a central solution but efficient for using less power. And in a bigger picture, the more robust and decentralized mechanism, mainly proof of work, still seem difficult to replace, or I'm going to say impossible to replace. But proof of authority could actually work even as a sidechain. So even if you are utilizing something as Ethereum blockchain to do all of your big components, but say within your business and organization, if a lot of the things are on the chain, you could do a lot of internal stuff as proof of authority, right? So hiring a new person, approving a budget for the department, approving somebody to have access to whatever within the system. I think you get a point, right? So for small centralized industries and stuff, it makes sense. Within companies, it makes sense. But when you go out into the wild, it does not. Now it's time to go in and talk about Polkadot. So here we go. Polkadot. Polkadot is a next generation blockchain protocol connecting multiple specialized blockchains into one unified network. So blockchain in isolation can only process a limited amount of traffic. Polkadot is sharded multi-chain network, meaning it can process many transactions on several chains in parallel. It improves scalability, and sharded chains connected to Polkadot are called pair chains because they run on the network in parallel. So there you go. Now you understand the whole concept behind pair chains. As do I. We're learning together here. All blockchains make trade-offs to support different features and use cases. One chain might optimize for identity management, while another might optimize for file storage. By building on the Substrate development framework, teams can develop and customize their blockchain faster and more efficiently than ever before possible. And of course, Polkadot then connects them and kind of uses the benefit from all of that stuff. But now you're thinking to yourself, well, what is Substrate? Well, good news for you. As soon as we're done with Polkadot, we're going to go and jump into Substrate to understand what is that and how does it work. So you want to make sure you stay tuned to learn the whole thing. Networks and applications on Polkadot can share information and functionality like apps on a smartphone without needing to rely on centralized service providers. Polkadot offers interoperability and cross-chain communication, transfer information between chains. For example, a chain providing financial service can communicate with another that provides access to real-world data known as an oracle chain. And we talked about that in one of the previous episodes of like what are the oracles, such as stock market price feeds for token equities trading. So as you can see, the nice part is that it communicates across the chain and it allows it to work together so that you can really tie things together, which I think is huge. So really excited about what they're doing here. Communities on Polkadot govern their own network as they see fit and hold a transparent stake in the future of Polkadot's network governance as a whole. So, of course, now I see that there is a staking happening, which is, like we mentioned, sort of like a savings account, a CD account. Blockchains need upgrade to stay relevant and improve over time. Upgrading conventional chain requires called hard forks, which separates the transaction, separates the community into two, takes a lot more work, and so it's not necessarily like always the best thing. There's some soft forking as well, but of course there's hard forking as well. And hard forking is when you kind of really split and now you create two chains, two communities, two tokens, two prices, two of everything. Polkadot enables forkless upgrades, and that is huge. That is amazing. Now, of course, we do have, you have hard forks, right? And then you have soft forks, which doesn't really necessarily separate the chain into two. Soft forks basically just give extra features potentially, but some of those are limited within it. So Polkadot, it sounds like, allows you to do even the hard fork system upgrade without forking at all, which is quite lovely. Several teams are already building impactful solutions for Polkadot for a range of applications, including finance, gaming, digital identity, Internet of Things, supply chain management, social networking, and cloud technologies. And here is just an image of who's working on what and what. Well, not who, but what people are working on within Polkadot. So, sip of water, then we move on. I kind of wish that you could click and make this bigger, because while this over here is kind of lovely, right? You have wallets and tooling and technical improvements, supply chain, storage, scaling, robotics, social networks, privacy, interface, identity, gaming, finance, communication, bridging. And then, but there's not much down here, and I'm curious as to what's down here. So that tells you about my curious nature. I'm like, great, you're telling me all this, but what's over here? I want to know this. All right, Polkadot ecosystem is growing larger and more robust as teams realize the benefits and efficiency of deploying their projects to Polkadot. Of course, you can learn more by visiting Polkadot, by researching on your own, and by doing your own, utilizing your own search system thing. So there you go. This is what Polkadot is. And of course, if you are interested to see, this is what their website looks like. So Polkadot is live, and you can start the dot claim. I believe that that's the name of their token, and of course learn all kinds of things about all of their stuff. So you can discover, you can definitely play around with it. So it's I think it's a very cool project. Personally speaking, I do like the fact that they allow you to go cross chain and expand on that communication piece, because I think where many people also were stuck is like, you have this coin and that coin, and so many of them are created, but now you can't like utilize one for the other, so you have to go to the exchange. And we used to have to go to centralized exchanges. Now we can use decentralized exchanges, like 1inch maybe, or DYDX, or I was gonna call Unicorn Uniswap. You can use that as well. So there's benefit, but now it sounds like we're building stuff to say, well, wait a minute, couldn't we like just get everybody to kind of communicate and work seamlessly? And so this is the reason why blockchain and cryptocurrency and all of that stuff is incredibly exciting to me, because of this ability to really intertwine things and build on top of the build on top of the build. And I think it has a lot of value, a lot of potential of what it could be, and things that we can't even imagine quite yet. And that is what is all exciting to me. But now, what is Substrate? Because we just mentioned it. We mentioned it yesterday. We just mentioned it today. So what in the world is Substrate? Let's go and learn about it. If you followed any Polkadot's development, you will probably have seen Substrate mentioned many times. Correct. Check. It's not in the white paper or the yellow paper, or at least not under name Substrate. At a high level, it's a framework for creating cryptocurrencies and other decentralized systems using the latest research in blockchain technology. So that is very, very cool. And if you're a programmer, if you know anything about frameworks, you now understand, or at least have an idea of what Substrate is. It's sort of like using Bootstrap to make your website appear quite lovely. For those of you, again, that know just a little bit about programming, and if you don't, you can look and research and kind of find out about it. But we're going to learn more about Substrate right here, right now. Parity Substrate is that it is not part of Polkadot at all. Although Polkadot is built with Substrate, and projects built with Substrate can run natively on Polkadot, you can use Substrate to build new blockchains right now. Now that is exciting. So what is Substrate? You can think of it as being like Express or another web application framework, but for building distributed and decentralized systems, as such as cryptocurrencies or a message bus. If you want to build a new project using Substrate, all you have to do is implement a very small number of hooks in your code, and then you get, for free, you get consensus, finality, and block voting logic. For free means you get Byzantine fault tolerance, so your system will still continue to work correctly. Networking, so peer discovery, replication, and so on. An efficient deterministic sandbox WebAssembly runtime. You don't need to use WebAssembly, of course, but you can write down your own virtual machine interpreter. So this is getting a bit more technical. I know for many folks watching this, especially if you're not a programmer, basically what they're saying is that when you decide to use Substrate to build, you can actually not just build, you know how you can go, for example, you can go right now and create your own crypto. You can create your own token very easily on top of Ethereum blockchain, right? ERC20 token, for example, there's plenty of videos out there. It's relatively speaking easy to do. Not that I have done it, but stay tuned. I just might in the near future. But relatively speaking, they're easy to build, and many people have done them. What Substrate basically does is gives you a toolbox not to build on top of Ethereum, but to build a version of Ethereum. Now, I'm not saying you're going to be able to do that, although anything is possible. It's allowing you to build your own blockchain as opposed to ride on top of a blockchain, if that makes sense, right? So it's giving you all of these tools that give you stuff like consensus, right? That is important. Networking is important. A sandbox where you can build things, and most programmers know what the sandbox is, sort of this playground where you can go and test things and try things out and that kind of stuff before you go live and publish it and push it out there for everybody to use and stuff. And when we're talking about programming money and programming contracts and that kind of stuff, it's very, very important that you test it first, that everything is running properly before you just like release something out there, and then who knows what's going to happen, right? So you don't want to do that. So that's kind of where some of these sandboxes, that's what the purpose is. Then what they're saying is additional pieces that you can do. Let's continue over here. Is ability to seamlessly run a node in the browser that can communicate with any desktop or cloud node, cross-platform database, seamless clients updates, ability to immediately start running your project on Polkadot the moment is released. And since Polkadot implements Substrate API, you can tap into the shared security and interoperability that Polkadot provides. Polkadot is itself being built using Substrate, which allows us to get fast feedback on any holes in the framework and allows us to run a Polkadot testnet or even a second instance of Polkadot itself as a parachain. So there you go. We just learned about the Polkadot and kind of what's going on over there. So it looks like you can kind of build your own thing, then sort of plug in to Polkadot and run with it. And again, for many of the non-programmers, I mean, that just went whoo right over your head. I know, because I too, I mean, I am learning about programming and coding. I know some stuff, learned some stuff, but I'm not like an experienced programmer or coder by no means whatsoever. And so even I am kind of like, I sort of get it, I understand it, but if you are a programmer, if you are a coder, this makes it very easy. And if you're not, but you have an idea, now you kind of have an idea of kind of thinking about like, well, how do I do this stuff? Well, this gives you some answers. Now you can reach out to the programmers and coders and start having conversations about stuff and what might make sense for your project. So what don't you get for free if you use a Substrate? Well, you don't get your machine, basically your computer, which includes things like transactions and that kind of stuff. To make Substrate as generic as possible, it has no transactions. Instead, it has what we call extrinsics, which are just binary blobs that you can use to store any data that you want. Assuming you want cryptocurrency and transactions, because you don't have to have it, but many people want, implementing the transactions format will likely be trivial, just an interchange format and a library to access the data from your chosen language. So should be, again, plug in and play. For chains with private transactions, the implementation may be more complex, but here's a simple explanation of what you need to implement in order to get a full blockchain up and running. A function that creates new pending block based on the previous block header. That makes sense. Block heading, cryptographic comment to the block state, which basically serves the same role as hash. Cryptographic comment for all the extrinsics in the body, hash for the block's parent, some extra arbitrary data. One use case for data would be to client updates. a function that takes pending block and generates finished block from it, a function that adds an extrinsic, such as transaction, to a pending block, and a function that executes the existing block. So pretty simple for those that know what they're doing. For the rest of us, not so simple at all. One downside of this design is that you have to manually make sure that the state transition done while creating a block and the state transitions done while executing an existing block are kept in sync. If you do not do this, you could get consensus issues. This, of course, my understanding is comes if you're building your own private stuff. If you're going to interconnect with the public stuff, potentially not as much of an issue or no issue at all. Additionally, you need to provide a validator set. This covers both proof of authority and proof of stake, delegated proof of stake chains, although we have no intention of supporting proof of work chains in Substrate as of now. Validator set is a list of public keys whose corresponding private keys should be considered valid to sign a given block. You don't have to handle the difficult problem of handling the validator votes or even their vouching for individual blocks. That's all handled by Substrate automatically. The less validators you have, the easier it would be for them to collude, but more validators you have, more validators will be needed to validate any given block, therefore it's considered finalized. So again, this is giving you out of the box ability to validate as well, but again, it's giving you another piece that you need to consider when you're building your own stuff, and that is, if you have a small group of people, well, they can collude and potentially run wild with the whole thing, but it's going to go fast. Or on the other hand, you will have many, many more, but it's going to take much longer because they all have to validate. So again, trade-offs. Everything has trade-offs in life, including working on Substrate. We can have Substrate automatically handle proof of stake for you, since proof of stake relies on your project including value-bearing tokens, and not all projects will. However, it would be easy to write a library on top of Substrate that enforces the use of tokens and gives you transactions and proof of stake consensus automatically. It is relatively easy to build higher level libraries on top of it. So now when we talked about the trade-offs and stuff, that was the proof of authority, which we've been covering today. But it looks like that on Substrate, while it's not automatic, you can build on top of Substrate and create the proof of stake, require folks to stake stuff, and then that gives them ability to then validate, right? It is relatively easy to build higher level libraries on top of it. Should be taken as a building block, and another common functionality can be stored into helper libraries. Polkadot is not the only chain pegged to be built on Substrate. As the platform matures, more libraries can be built to make brand new chains as easy as writing a modern web app. And this right over here, the last piece that we just talked about, is the exciting part for me, because right now, it's still new. It's in infancy, and so of course much more experienced coders and programmers and builders will be able to use this and leverage and stuff. But as this happens, as the ecosystem grows, as it expands, as it becomes more robust, and we start seeing more things, you start seeing more libraries. And of course then, how I compared it kind of to Bootstrap, it's sort of like a Bootstrap, utilizing jQuery, and now we can do all kinds of cool things with it. So, and of course it's constantly being added and adapted and built on and so on and so on. So I think that's kind of where I see this going. Again, let me know what you think in the chat, in the comments, and let me know kind of where you think this is going. For me, this is really, really exciting. If you decide to check out Substrate, it's substrate.io. And here is kind of what their website looks like, and it's a very, very cool thing. Gives you all the things that you can do and how to integrate. You can go into the playground, go around, play around your blockchain on Polkadot. So then it gives you ability. You can learn more about this stuff, and it's very exciting. You can watch clearly the video, and here is a documentation in substrate.dev. You can actually go and get documentation if you are wanting to get started and build on top of it, or you just want to at least play along or play around. So there you go. that concludes today's information, today's news, today's Money Matter. Hit me up with the like button right now if you're watching this on YouTube, because I think I deserved it. But again, then again, only know if I have earned it or not if you tap it. So do me a favor, help me, help the algorithm, help me, and help other people as well learn about this amazing technology and opportunity in the market. Thank you for watching. Until tomorrow, stay forever money blessed, and do remember, you are only one deal away.